Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to talk about building your own live stream studio. The reason why I'm going to talk about this in this video is because I was asked recently to make a video about how to build a live stream studio for YouTube broadcasting and social media, and so that's what I'm going to cover because I started this particular endeavor from the ground up, and so I know what it's like to start basically doing your own thing and building a live stream studio. And so we're going to cover that. What we're going to look at is we're going to look at cameras, switchers, audio mixers, microphones, lighting, computers, networking, software, support systems like tripods. We're going to talk about video and photography. We're going to talk about video editing. And we're also going to talk about the streaming software that a person would use to get your video and audio out onto your social media outlets. So I'm just going to sit here and read the first thing on my teleprompter and then get back to what I was just talking about. So like I said, I was recently asked to make a video about how to build a live stream broadcast studio from scratch, like in a small extra bedroom or whatever. I personally started in our living room, to be honest with you. And so the other thing that I'm going to take a look at is putting this thing together in such a way that it's scalable into something larger should you grow. So what I'm going to talk about is what it takes to get started, but then that whatever you use to get started can be scalable to grow into a much larger ecosystem workflow broadcast situation. And that would include live streaming out in the field. We'll discuss that, but I'm not necessarily going to cover that extensively. What this video is not for those of you who already have your live stream studio going and up, and you have it all the tweaking done and all that stuff. This is not the video for you. This is a video for somebody who is interested in starting a live stream studio and streaming to YouTube, streaming to Facebook, streaming to Instagram, streaming to Rumble, and they really just don't know where to start. So that is what this video is about. What I'm going to talk about, as I said, is equipment, but I'm also going to talk about the equipment as it looks being put together, but I'm also going to talk about exactly where I started and where I am now with putting all of this equipment together to work together. So the other thing that this video is not is this video is not about how all of the things connect together. In other words, I'm not going to say come out of equipment A from this port and plug it into equipment B in this port. That's for another video. Before I get into taking a look at cameras, what I would like to do is tell you that you really need to know why you want to build a studio to begin with. To live stream to the internet, obviously to Facebook and YouTube and Rumble and all that. But the questions that I really think you should ask yourself are, am I primarily doing podcasting, that is with audio? Am I primarily doing video with audio? That is vlogging or live streaming video, which is more about what this particular video is about, because I don't personally just do audio, not yet. I do have the capability, but I'm not there. I still have things I want to iron out before I go and start porting my audio into podcast material. This is what is known as live streaming video and audio, or otherwise known as a vlog live streaming. The difference between this and vlogging is you're out in the world, you're recording yourself with camera and audio in whatever venue it is, and you come back and you edit it, and you then upload your video to whatever platform you want it to go to. So the other thing that you need to ask yourself is exactly where am I going to upload this to, or where am I going to live stream to, and what is the niche, or the meats and potatoes of what I'm doing. So, for instance, right now we're broadcasting on Timothy's Enterprises. I've got 4 channels total, and Timothy's Enterprises is about photography and video, which is why I'm doing this on this channel right now. I also have Freedom and Survival, which is about self-sustainment, analyzing current events and politics, and things like that. I also have Freedom's Road USA, which I don't do a lot about. That's more of a vlogging platform. I've got a lot of material that I have to edit yet, but because time is of the essence, I just haven't built that. And then I have Timothy's Enterprises Biblical Studies, and that is what it says. It's going into Bible studies, and that right now is also a vlog because I'm not able on Rumble, because I'm not able to live stream there. Although I do live stream the Bible studies on YouTube and Facebook. So when you're starting out, you need to ask yourself these things. Then the next thing you need to ask yourself, is this going to be a hobby, or is this going to be a business? And if this is going to be a business, then you really need to focus on that as much as you do on what the equipment is that you're using. The equipment is just a means to get to that point, or to get to these 2 points, using your channel as a business. Now, one thing to take note of is that there are people that say you set up a business first and build your studio and platform on that business. In my experience, if you do this and you fail to make a profit, after 3 years, you will lose your ability to maintain a business license or an LLC. So therefore, I would suggest you begin by simply building your channel. Get your equipment up, get your mindset as to where you want to go with it, build your channel, get some merch behind you, get some sponsorship behind you, and then turn it into a business. The problem with doing it that way is, if you have logos and stuff and you don't have them copyrighted and trademarked, you are asking for somebody to steal your designs and your business idea. So that is the downfall of doing what I just said. If you establish a business and you get it rolling within 3 years, you start an LLC, a corporation, then that helps protect your brand identity with logos and things like that, and your business name. So those are the 2 aspects that you want to consider when going through those types of things. The other thing in regards to that is understand that I'm not a financial advisor. I have started businesses. I've lost businesses. I've started this as a business, and I am struggling to actually crank it because I'm running another business on top of this, and I just don't have the time to push this. If I had the time to push this, I could make it profitable in short order, but I don't, and so I am struggling against that 3-year window. But I'm not an accountant, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not legal advice either. So keep that in mind when I talk about these things. I'm coming at it from my perspective and from my point of view. The other thing that I want you to understand is that I'm not a big influencer. I'm not a Peter McKinnon. I'm not a Potato Jet. I'm not a Gerald Undone. I'm not a Alex Patet. I'm not some of these other guys that are like, what they do is they make money doing this, and that's not me. I'm doing this because I'm on a mission, and I'm hoping that my mission cranks a profit at some point, but I'm on a mission, number 1, to get information out, and number 2, to build this long term so that I have something to go into when, in case something else that I'm doing now slows itself down because it's in a completely different venue and field. So we've asked or brought up the various questions that are important to ask. The other thing that you're going to want to do is not just listen to this video and watch this video. You're going to want to go and take a look at some of the others who are actually doing this day in and day out and get a lot of information and a lot of tips from them. That's very, very important that you do that. The other thing you want to do is you want to build yourself a website, and you want to get the website based on what you're doing. So you want to do, like, just say whateveryouare.com, your website. What you don't want to do is go to somebody else's web platform and go wix.com/your site. You want it to be www.yoursite.com. Get that done so that you have a means of blog and you have a means of building a community in something that you own as far as a URL is concerned. So with that, let's talk about cameras for a moment. Now, there are those that say go ahead and start with what you have. And certainly there is benefit. Well, I mean, if you don't have money and that's what you do, if you have to start with your phone, your iPhone, your Android, or whatever, go ahead and start with it. But you have to understand that starting with it will bring limitations. And generally speaking, those limitations will be broadcasting to one platform, no editing, and you'll be lucky to have, well, you wouldn't necessarily be able to introduce other photographs or other titles, but you would build yourself a title slide and a thumbnail, and then just do your video and stream. If you don't have the money to buy equipment and you need to get started, by all means do that and get started. Do not let a lack of equipment hinder you or stop you from starting to build. You need to get started. You just need to get started. So with that being said, let me walk you through what I started with, and then and I'm not going to talk about vlogging per se. I'm going to actually talk about live streaming. What I got started with live streaming. I'm going to go through that, and then excuse me, and then I'm going to explain to you what I suggest. Okay? So the first camera that I actually used to live stream with was this camera right here. This camera is the Panasonic UX180. And the Panasonic UX180 is a camcorder. As you can see, it is self-contained. Now, the reason why I first began live streaming with this particular camera is that I actually bought this camera to produce documentary videos and special interest videos. Like I said, everybody's got a story. What's your story? And I bought this camera to document and to produce videos along these lines. So the reason why I bought this camera here is because with the fixed lens, I don't have to be looking for lenses or change lenses. It has a zoom range that covers wide angle to telephoto. So it's got everything that I need there. It's got the sunshade and a lens protection. It's got an internal thread for filters, and it's got built-in. It's got 2 SD cards built in, and it also allows you to go automatic exposure with both your shutter speed, your gain, and your aperture, and it also allows you to go manual. So I always shoot on manual. And also manual ISO and also manual white balance. It does it automatic or manual on all of those fronts. So I can and do generally manual focus, manual shutter, manual aperture, manual white balance, and manual ISO. or manual gain. On a camcorder, it's gain. On a mirrorless type or DSLR type, such as this right here, this S5, it's an ISO, which is the same thing as an ASA from back in the day. So I began with this camera right here. Now the other thing that it does is it has a built-in LCD screen that's touch LCD, so that I can change the menu with my fingers, as well as a menu button. And it also has Ethernet, XLR, and a USB to Bluetooth dongle if I should desire it. It also has SDI out, and it also has HDMI out. Now, the one thing that is a problem with this camera that you need to avoid is if you need to go out and do documentary videos, I highly recommend you get a camera like this, because that way you can bring it into the studio, put it on a tripod, and go ahead and live stream. But when you're out in the field, you can use it to record and vlog or create documentaries. But this particular camera right here is in fact an 8-bit camera. So I would not recommend the Panasonic UX180. I would recommend the camera that came after this camera that's at least a 10-bit. So here's a tip. Whatever camera you get, make sure it's 10-bit or more, not 8-bit. And the reason is because you have a lot more information being packed into the frames, and with 10-bit, when you come back to edit, you can push that video around and adjust it a lot better and a lot easier than you can with the 8-bit. So with this camera here, being an 8-bit, my exposure has to be right on the money. My exposure has to be impeccable. It cannot be off, or I'm going to have myself a problem. With 10-bit, you have more leeway to come back into post and do some editing and fix small issues. Of course, you want to shoot as if you don't want to edit. But if you are shooting for mood, if you're shooting for certain lighting and you need to come back and just push that a little more or whatever, 10-bit is the way to go. 8-bit was good in its day. You don't want to go anything less than 10-bit in this day and age. In any case, that's why I started with this camera, and it's actually plugged in to my switcher right now, and it gives me this view right here. This is the UX180. So it gives me the side view. It just gives me a little bit of an environmental shot, and it is really good for that. I love this camera. I actually love this camera for what it is. I actually like all my cameras for what they are, and we'll explain that. So I explained to you why I purchased this camera and started with this camera. The other thing, or the other reason why I started with this camera, is because it does all of that, and it was within my budget. The cool thing is that all of the cameras that I'm going to show you right now are in a decent budget range. The next set of cameras that I purchased, and I purchased 2 of them, are in fact the Lumix, not that, that. It are the Lumix, I'm sorry about that, are the Lumix S5 mirrorless cameras. Now these cameras are absolutely phenomenal. Oh, one thing, the UX180, you don't take pictures with that. Since I'm a photographer, I take pictures, this camera takes 4K in a variety of formats, as well as high resolution up to 96 megapixel still photographs in RAW and in JPEG, singularly or at the same time, or in multi-burst. So this camera, I bought two of these. Primarily, one is a backup, but then I decided to use one for video and then one for photography, or if I'm shooting a vlog, I use one to shoot the shoot of the vlog. So if I'm using this for video, I bring the other one in behind it and shoot video of me using this. Same thing with photography. If I'm shooting photography with this one, I bring the other S5 in behind it to videotape me shooting photography. But in any case, this camera was about the same price as the UX180, but it is a 10-bit 4K video camera that does 4K 60, 4K 120, 1080 120 frames. Excuse me. The only downfall with this is that its autofocus is not necessarily the greatest, though. I've learned that if you work within its parameters, it's not quite as bad as some people say. Now, what I recommend is that if you're going to get a camera like this and you're going to shoot, and primarily you would buy a camera like this because you're going to shoot still photographs as well as video. And you were also going to use this for, let's say, for like photography, like on the street. You can use it for backpacking. This camera fits into the back of my motorcycle, whereas the UX180 is just way too big. I can carry two of these and still have more room than I could with the UX180. It's a good sized camcorder. So with this one, it also has a touchscreen flip out screen. And it's, as you can see, it's touchscreen. And I can change all of my settings with this screen or with the menu buttons. And I can change my lenses. I've got a massive 150 to 600 waterproof lens. The other thing is this is weatherproof. So when I'm out and about and it's raining out, I don't worry about this camera. Now, it also does HDMI out. And for the longest time, I actually had this hanging on, well, actually, I had this on to start with. I use my travel tripods like this right here. This is a really small, lightweight tripod, and I had both of my tripods like this in front of me with my S5s sitting on it. And then I moved it to a rail system to where both of my cameras were hanging just like that. No tripods. They're on the bottom of my monitor, so that when I'm looking at all of my screens, I can look into my cameras. So with this particular setup and this particular camera, I can motorcycle ride with this, I can hike with it, I can vlog in my vehicles with it, because I've got a stand that it sits where I can talk into it like this. I can talk into it like this, or whatever, or I can take it off and put it on tripod. Now, to get the HDMI out, what I have done is I've bought the small rig, mini HDMI to full HDMI, and then the HDMI source plugs into this, goes into my switcher, and that's how I get the video out of this camera here. But if you're going to even do documentary videos and you want to take pictures too, then rather than getting the camcorder like this, get a mirrorless camera like this. And I recommend the Lumix line of cameras over every other camera on the market for two reasons. Number one is the Canon and the Sony have been known to overheat after 10 minutes of 4K video. If it overheats, it's useless. I don't care how good it is. If it's going to shut down on me, I don't need it. And this camera has never, ever, ever overheated. I've shot in deserts. I've shot in the sun. I've shot on the beaches. I've shot in mountains. And this camera has never, ever, ever shut down on me. Ever. Now, the other reason why I bought this camera is because this is a Lumix, aka Panasonic. The UX180 is Panasonic, and so it's got nearly the same color science, so I can integrate my S5s with my UX180. Now, they have the new generation of these cameras out, and the new cameras are phenomenal. If I didn't have these in my hand right now and I had an extra $5,000, I would go buy 2 more of them, the new ones. I would hold on to these and I would have 4 of these bad boys. Their focus, their autofocus is incredible. They've updated to phase detect. And they also have a full-size HDMI out, so you don't need this small rig adapter to go from mini HDMI to full HDMI. It comes straight out of the camera that way. The new Lumix S5 2X would be the new Lumix S5 series camera that I would recommend. It is a phenomenal camera, and the color is phenomenal. You can't beat the color science. By the way, I have shot with Canon camcorders back in the day. I've shot with Sony, I've shot with JVC, I've shot with Panasonic, I've shot with all of them. I've also got a Canon DSLR 7D, and I hands down love these Lumix cameras way over the Canon cameras. That's just me. I'm not a Lumix fanboy. I'm just telling you what I like. So camera-wise, because I really wanted to be able to come into the studio, flip switches, and just start doing what I'm doing once my thumbnails are created, I then took these out and put them into the field. So the only time I hook these up now is if I have a guest in here and I need a couple more angles. Then I'll hook these up and put them into through my switcher, just as this S5 that is showing my UX180 is doing right now. This is the other S5 that I have, and it is running through the switcher. So the only time I bring these back into the studio is when I need a couple of extra camera angles. So what am I using for cameras now? So right now, what I'm using is the new Blackmagic Design Micro 4K G2 Studio cameras. And these cameras are phenomenal. The picture that you see here in my close-up shot and the picture that you see here in my wider shot are the Blackmagic Micro Studio 4K G2 cameras. And they sit like this. The camera on the left has an Olympus lens, and it is my close-up. That is this shot here. And the camera on my right is the wide shot with a Lumix camera, or I'm sorry, a Lumix lens right here. And these are Blackmagic cameras, and these cameras are incredible. And one reason why I went with these cameras rather than other cameras is because I have created, based on what's already out there in the market, from Blackmagic, I am using for my live stream studio a Blackmagic design ecosystem. I'm going to explain that to you in a little while. Right now we're working with, on cameras. So if you look up, well, the next thing that I want to cover is the switcher. So if you take a look at I should have had this up. If you look at my switcher, come on now, what I'm using is I'm using the Blackmagic Design ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. Now, what this switcher is, this switcher has 8 inputs. If you notice, it's got 8 buttons. 1 from left to right, 1 through 8. It also includes, if you're using the Blackmagic Design micro cameras, it includes autofocus, and I can adjust all of the gain and exposure parameters of the camera right through this particular switcher. It has software that you download for it, and I can control my media, my still media, my camera. I can switch my cameras, switch still media like I'm doing right here and right here. I can control audio input, and I can record all 8 inputs, and I can record the program out. So when I'm talking to you right now, everything that I switch is being recorded to one stream, while all the inputs are also being recorded. I can also, from this unit, live stream to one platform. So I can either choose YouTube, or I can choose Instagram, or I can choose Facebook, or what have you. So if you only have one platform to stream to, this is really all you need. If you want to stream to more than one platform, then you need to pick up a computer, and you need to pick up streaming software, and I'll cover that in just a moment. But this is the actual switcher that I use in my studio. If you are going to go out into the field and switch live, you can take this. I have put it into a box, like a box from Harbor Freight, and I've created like a carry box, like a gator box, but it has all the patchwork and the cooling fans and everything built into it. I just put this thing in, plug all my wires up, and I have a switcher to go. So I can switch venues, I can switch weddings, I can switch concerts, I can switch everything in the field as long as I have a connection to the internet. There are 2 other options that I want to talk about when it comes to switching. And the first one would be, if you're going to be in the field and you're going to have 1 or 2 cameras, then you have what's called the Yellow Box Ultra. This is based off of a Snapdragon, aka tablet engine or cell phone engine, smartphone engine, and it is completely touchscreen. Everything, I'm sorry, I didn't even show you what it is. The Yellow Box Ultra 8 portable all-in-one live stream encoder. Now this one also will stream out, but it is completely touchscreen. There are no buttons. It's all touchscreen, and it is run by basically smartphone hardware under the hood. This you can actually take and get a mount and mount it to the top of your camera and use it as an external monitor while controlling a live stream if you want to live stream as you're out and about. This would be good for something like that. Then there's also another option which I think I would go for that might compete with what I have here with the ATEM. And this is the SproLink Neo Live R2 Full HD HDMI live stream video mixer. And this is got 4 inputs, not 8. And it is a very powerful little switcher. It doesn't have a whole lot of quirks. From all of the reviews that I've watched, it's a very good unit. And it's very portable. And it does have buttons. and it also has touchscreen. It also runs in the background, under the hood, it also runs off of a Snapdragon platform, which means your smartphone or your tablets. So that is an option as well. And that is more like a studio type of switcher. But I highly recommend, oh, and it doesn't, I don't believe it records ISO. So it'll record the program video out, but it doesn't, and I think both of these are like that. It records the program video out, but it does not record every input coming in like my ATEM does. The big issue with using one or both of these other options are simply this. You break the chain of the Blackmagic design ecosystem. Again, I'm going to get to that in just a moment. Now, the other compelling reason why I like Blackmagic design, well, actually two reasons. Because the Blackmagic design system, the switcher, the cameras, and as well as my HD shuttle here, which is also my teleprompter. All of this is Blackmagic design, and it all works together. So, as I said, the ATEM records 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It records all of those streams in. And when you mix a still image like this, it records that into the stream. But the cool thing is that Blackmagic Design also has video editing software called DaVinci Resolve. Now, DaVinci Resolve is one of the most powerful platforms on the planet for video editing, for nonlinear video editing. And Blackmagic has done some great things with DaVinci Resolve. And they give you a copy of DaVinci Resolve for free for download. It is not the most powerful copy. They have two basic versions. They have the free version and then they have the studio version. But they will give you the free version of DaVinci Resolve to get you started in your editing. Now, this is the other thing I like about Blackmagic Design. The owner, Grant, has a philosophy which he carries through his business, and that is this. If we give the creator the tools to create from the beginning so that they can begin creating, as they grow, they will come back to us to buy more of our products to continue to grow their creating. And therefore, as you work with Blackmagic Design, you begin to understand that the ecosystem is not only tied together, but it is scalable. So as you operate out of a single room like I'm doing right now, everything that I have from Blackmagic Design, if I decide to open a studio with 3, 4, 5 video sets, shooting studios, several editing studios, audio recording studios, CG studios, graphics studios, rendering studios, all of those can grow and use what I'm using now can be incorporated into the bigger picture later down the road. And so I will never outgrow what I've started with. They will always be, all of the equipment I have and all the software I have from Blackmagic will be able to grow with me and be usable as I grow my studio. And in fact, that's exactly what I've done. So As you can see here, I started with, I recently purchased this HD shuttle. And it not only can play video stingers, but it also serves as my teleprompter. I can make it play, or I can scroll it to my own actual speed. And this ties in with Ethernet or USB to the rest of the Blackmagic ecosystem. So, all of these things can grow with me as I grow my studio. Now, I want to say one other thing about DaVinci Resolve video editing software. Two things, actually. The first thing is that Hollywood and movie producers use DaVinci Resolve. They've used it for sitcoms, they've used it for Marvel movies, they've used it for CG, they use it for high-end television commercials. And the software really is world class. The company really is world class. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is if you buy the proper hardware from Blackmagic, and all you have to do is when you're going to buy hardware, just look to see if this is true. But certain pieces of hardware that you purchase will come with a copy of DaVinci Resolve Studio, the most powerful video platform, in my humble opinion, on the market, and particularly the one that Blackmagic offers. And so they are very, very, very keen on helping you as a creator grow in your endeavors and on your platforms. They are very much in tune with what it takes to get content out, either in live stream, in full bloom broadcast. You can take this particular switcher and marry it up with their $10, $20, and $30,000 switchers. That's what I'm saying. You can take their stuff and grow with it. This is the entry level stuff. This is what it takes to get started, and that's what I'm covering here. But if you grow and your studio grows, you can go as deep as you want to go with Blackmagic, and it can all be tied in together. That's what I mean about an ecosystem. So I can take and I can do my live stream, and at the end of the broadcast, it has already created a complete synced editing program version that can import directly into Blackmagic Resolve so that I can go and edit it and change it and re-upload if I want to. Or I can replace my 1080p video with raw video and colored video if I want to. And that's the power of the Blackmagic ATEM system and the ecosystem. So I personally recommend Blackmagic. You can start as low as $300 for a switcher, or you can spend $1,200 and buy this kit right here, just like I'm using, and switch up to 8 cameras at a time or inputs at a time to include my tablet, which is what I'm showing you this on right now. This is my Android tablet, and I'm using that as one of my inputs with the USB-C to HDMI adapter. And you can switch up to 8 inputs at a time with this $1,295 switcher. Now on my website I have created a blog that gives you all the links for this stuff. So all you need to do is go to www.timotheusenterprises.com and take a look at the article, Build Your Livestream Studio, and I've got all of the affiliate links there. So from there, we need to talk about we really need to talk about audio. And what I do, you can run audio through the ATEM, but the ATEM just uses a 3/8 jack, an input jack. But most people that are serious about their audio, boy, I'm tongue-tied tonight, want to use an XLR type of input. And so what I'm running, this microphone, this is a XLR microphone, studio mic, and what I have done is I have gone again and purchased the Rodecaster Pro 2 studio console that does 4 inputs. I can also play video through my tablet by Bluetoothing it to this unit. I can Bluetooth wireless mics to it. I can bring in video calls through my tablet. I can bring in phone calls through an input on this. And I can use software in conjunction with this small audio mixing system. Now, this particular setup that I bought comes with 2 microphones, as you can see. And you can see me using the microphone here. This is the same mic that you see in the picture right here. And it comes with all the cables. It comes with the shock mount. It comes with arms. And it comes with the headset that I'm using to make sure that my audio is just right. And so for $900, you can have everything you need for a 2-person live stream audio setup, and or use this for podcasting. If you don't want to do video, you can just hook this up and record audio and stream audio to Spreaker or to Spotify or whatever your platform is, and you can run it right through this. And the cool thing is that, see this button up here on the top on the left? It will record your audio, so you can go back and edit your audio. Oh, I didn't even show you, sorry. So with this button here on the left, under the name Rode, you can hit that button and record all your audio and use it as a podcasting unit. And you can hook up to 4 mics through this. And if you let's say you have an analog mixer and you want to do a roundtable, you just run more mics through your analog mixer and run your analog mixer into one of the inputs on this and turn it into a line in. And so this is very, very, very professional and very, very, very versatile. It also comes with these pads on the right. So these pads on the right have special sounds like if you want to out certain things, if you want to create echo, if you want to create a Mickey Mouse audio or what have you. And you can program this particular audio mixer. You can program this in direct channels and do whatever you want to your own liking. So it's incredible. And by the way, the video mixer, you can do the same thing. In the software, you can tweak the software to create like insets and whatever. Like, so for this particular savings that I have here, as far as my ATEM, I automatically can do 2 windows right now, but I can use the one window to bring in another guest, either on video from my tablet or a camera in the studio, and we can talk side by side, back and forth, just like this. And in reality, all I have to do then is change my background in the background like that, and boom. So I've actually gone into the software to make that happen. So all of the things that I'm sharing with you are extremely versatile. And these are the things that I recommend that you look at purchasing to begin a good professional quality live stream studio. The next thing that we need to talk about is software. And I'm just going to have you, I'm not going to show you any screens or anything. But there's basically, if you want to go to more platforms than just the one that is afforded to you through the ATEM, there are two main softwares that are usually recommended. There are other software, there are other web-based platforms like StreamYard or something like that on a subscription basis. But the two that are most popular is OBS, which is free, and I tried that and I could not get it to work. I could not get it to recognize my Blackmagic ATEM, and so then I had to go and get vMix, VMIX, and I paid for the lower tier. I think it was 179 bucks or 279 or something like that for the low tier. I think it was 179 for the low tier. They let you try it for 30 days or 60 days. And because I tried it and I actually was able to get on the air with the trial, I went ahead and bought it. And that's what I'm using right now to broadcast to Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook. Because OBS would not pick up my ATEM as the camera. So vMix did. vMix worked. So I spent money with vMix, and that's what I use. You can start with OBS for free. Oscar, Bravo, Sierra. And if it works for you, use it. And if it doesn't work for you, go and get vMix. vMix is very powerful. It has various inputs in and of itself. You can line up stinger music. You can line up other videos to play off of your computer. I don't do that. It's not part of my ecosystem, though and the reason why I don't is because, like I said, with the ATEM, everything I do through the ATEM is recorded. Each channel, each of the 8 channels are recorded separately, and then my program out, everything that I'm doing through the switcher is recorded. And if I use the vMix, the vMix side of it, then they don't get run through my ATEM, and it is not a part of my part of the project if I decide to go back and edit it. If I decide to go back and edit it, then I've got to figure out how to take recorded video from vMix and transpose it into something that DaVinci Resolve will edit with. So I pretty much stick with the Blackmagic ecosystem. So that means that because I run my ATEM, and you can run your, come on now, you can run your ATEM, you can run this ATEM without the software. You can push the buttons like I'm doing right now. I'm not touching my mouse at all. I have the software up on my computer. As a matter of fact, let me come over here and I'll bring it up on the other computer and just show you real quick what the software looks like. So on the computer in the back, let me see if I can, there we go. See that? I just controlled my camera focus from my software on my laptop. But I can do the same thing then. If you notice, it's switching to, actually it isn't. So now I can control my ATEM. I can control this right here with my software on either of my computers because my ATEM is connected to my laptop, my laptop over there. There's a software right there, and I also see it up here in front of me. And it is also connected to my big computer in the back, all with Ethernet. So I'm going to go to the back here and I'm going to switch cameras just so you can see how that works. And now you see, now you don't. There you go. Now you see the wide shot. Now I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to switch this with the buttons on my ATEM. I'll show you that. I'm going to switch this with the buttons on my ATEM. And I'm going to go to camera 3. I'm going to come up to my software. I'm going to go to camera. And I'm going to bring myself back into focus. Boom. Just like that. So that is the beauty of working with the Blackmagic ecosystem. And as you notice, let me go back to bringing this up on the computer in the background. So as you can tell, I've got 4 tabs down here, and on each tab, I can control different aspects of the hardware. That's where I load my thumbnails and my title slides and anything I want to show you that stills, such as this or this. And I can basically load my studio slide back in here and show you that. Or I can load my cameras back in there and show you that. I can go back to my logo and show you that. Or I can go here to the next tab and work with the audio. And so now I can control and tweak. If you see my mic is hitting all my recording on my ATEM. So I'm recording my audio coming out of my Rodecaster Pro 2. And I'm recording my audio into my program. And I can control every camera's audio that comes through the HDMI or SDI. And I can control the output, and I can record all of my audio along with my video. And then I'll show you the interface for the cameras. And now you see the control for all 8 cameras inputs. Now, the caveat is camera 3 and camera 4 are my Blackmagic micro cameras that are controllable with this software right here. So I am going to just switch it up and click on camera 4 and it's going to change the camera. Well, no, it ain't either. I got to go to the switcher. Camera 4, let's audio, let's do that. And now camera 4 is highlighted and I can go into my software and adjust my camera if I so desire. This is the beauty of running with an ATEM versus the other products that are out there. So this is one of the reasons why I recommend the Blackmagic ATEM series. Now, the one thing that you need to also see is with these tabs, with all of these various tabs, I can set a computer. Let me recalibrate my focus. I can set for each of those tabs, I can have a laptop or a computer. So for the switcher tab, I can have a single computer or a laptop. For the media, I can have a single laptop. For the audio, I can have a single laptop. And for the cameras, I can have a single laptop. And I can leave those tabs up. And if I'm connected through a network switch to the ATEM, each of those cameras, each of those laptops will control just that aspect of the software. So if I have 5 people in my booth, I can have one person doing the switching. I can have another person controlling the media. That is the stills like this that I show you. I can have another person controlling the cameras, and I can have another person making sure that the audio is exactly the way it's supposed to be. And then I can have another person switching the interviews if I'm doing interviews. And this is the beauty of the Blackmagic ecosystem. And if I'm recording all of those inputs and everything that's going on through my ATEM, I can bring it into DaVinci Resolve. It's already all synced up, and I can change little tiny aspects after the fact and re-upload, all from using the Blackmagic ecosystem. And so that is why I recommend working with the Blackmagic ATEM, and specifically the Blackmagic Design ATEM Mini Extreme ISO bundle, because that will give you some HDMI cables or USB cables. And then I also recommend then using wrong one. For audio, using this Rodecaster Pro Studio Console package with the 2 microphones and the arms and all the cables that and the earphones that are necessary to get good audio into your ATEM and into vMix or OBS. Then, of course, I mentioned the HD shuttle HD, however you want to call it. And that can come later, but if you want to use a teleprompter and you want to do this teleprompt thing, then this is what I recommend, because the HD shuttle not only does video playback, but you can put a screen into an actual teleprompter, or you can just put it into a small screen like I do right in front of me so that I can read it like I am now. And that's what I recommend as part of the Blackmagic ecosystem. Now, there's a couple other things that we need to talk about. We need to talk about lighting. And you can start out with window lighting. You can start out with room lighting if it's in the proper position. And I started out with a $125 light kit off of Amazon. The problem with that was it was huge. And so eventually what I did was I went ahead and I purchased 2 of these Godox ES45 eSport LED light kits. They're flat. They come with the stand, as you see here, and they can connect to it to the edge of a table or a desk. And the back of them, on the back of them, you have remote controls that slide in to the back of them and connect with these connectors right here. Or you can do like I've done and taken them off. I've created one channel for my fill light, and I've created another channel for my main light. So right here, this is my fill light, this is my main light. And so I can independently, with the remote, turn on my lights, as well as you see right here, adjust the intensity. So this is at 100% as my main, and this is at 10% as my fill. And if I go any lower, crazy thing is going to turn off. But what that does is that gives me directional lighting and it gives me main lighting. So my fill is a little less than my main. And that gives me a little more, a less flat lighting. And I can fill that shadow in just a little tiny bit more if I so choose. And I so choose. And so this is the cool thing about working with these Godox lights. I like these lights. Some people use other lights. I think these Godox lights are just fine. For 119 bucks a piece, I would buy 2 of them. I would put one up higher as like sunlight, and I'd put one down lower as in fill, and I would do exactly what I've done here with the remotes. And somebody's probably telling me, nope, okay. Let's see. Okay. Sometimes people tell me things aren't going right. So I highly recommend these Godox lights. And I have a link for these also in the description of my blog on www.timotheusenterprises.com. So the next thing that you want to think about when you're putting your studio together is exactly how or what style of what style of I'm going to change the angle on this camera. This will give you an idea of my setup here, what I'm looking at. So let me just do that real quick. So when I say my teleprompter here, I can play it. You see I've got it sitting right here. Or I can scroll it, or I can jog it like this. And if I put it in the screen so other people can see with me, now you're seeing my ATEM. I have it as one of my inputs, so I can let people read exactly what I'm reading, and therefore that is part of the Blackmagic ecosystem. So I actually have a clock that is also a countdown timer if I so choose to do that. I've got my my program, what I see going on, so I see all of my cameras, all of my inputs, and I see that camera. Now I don't use camera 1. I'll explain that in another video. Right now I don't use camera 1, but all my other inputs are being filled up right now. I have my program out. I have my media. So when I show you my new cameras that I'm using right now, when I'm using this one and then this one, that shows, and that's that media there, and there's my logo there. I can see all of that going on right in front of me along with this. Now here's my tablet. This tablet is what I'm showing you the products that I recommend by hitting input 5. I'm showing you my tablet. I can do video conferences and video interviews on this as well because I Bluetooth it. I Bluetooth it to my Rodecaster Pro 2. And so, and then up higher, I got that stiff. So up higher now I have my ATEM software like I showed you behind me. So I can control my ATEM software here. I can control my ATEM software up there. I can control everything else down here. It's all right in front of me. Okay, so now let's get back to thinking about exactly what kind of a studio setting you want. Initially, I wanted like like I'm doing now, like a newscast type of desk, but I also wanted to be able to do a top-down shot, which is on an old little Canon camcorder that I use for vlogging, and I've got it hooked up to a HDMI cable. But I've got my top-down shot for doing equipment reviews. The Lumix S5 is an awesome camera. This is a camera review. I've got my top-down, and then what I have is I have my news desk area. Now you can determine whether you're going to do interviews on a couch, and you could create, or two chairs, and you could have a coffee table between the two chairs, or you could have a couch and a chair, and you can set up your studio any way you want. You just have to remember that your studio and how you set it up is going to determine how you hook or how you place your cameras. Like I'm just doing this close up and a wide, and then I have my side shot for some environmental type stuff, and then I showed you this shot. This is another angle, and how you decide that you're going to set up your live stream studio is going to determine your camera angles. It's also going to determine where you place your lights. So, like I said, I've got my main light as my sunlight. I've got my fill light here. Now they're hanging from a structure. You can see I no longer have tripods. They're hanging from a structure up here. I'll get into that in my own personal build in progression. I'm going to actually do a feature on that. But I no longer have, I do have that light on a tripod for a particular reason, because I can't get that one high enough yet and yet low enough at the same time to get it where it is now. So I still have that on a stand. But everything else is hanging except what's on my table, and except for the UX180. That's on a tripod also, because it's not hanging. It's just not. But everything else is hanging, and this is basically the two cameras in front of me there are basically what I shoot with. And I just basically sit here and have my newscast type of desk. But if you want to put a couch down and then a chair, plant or something behind you, a coffee table, and put your microphones here on different kind of stands, or connect them to coffee tables and bring them up, you certainly can. It just depends on how you want your environment to be portrayed and how you want to work. And so that is basically what I recommend as far as your studio equipment. Now let me just say one other thing. My editing desk back there, my editing desk is an old IKEA from 1990, no, 2002. I bought that in 2002. This little table is a piece of junk from Big Lots, and then all the stuff that's sitting here is a Husky workbench from Home Depot on a set of wheels with 2 drawers for equipment and accessories. And so I initially used the work desk here for my actual sitting down in broadcasting, but then I decided I wanted to have this table and just put everything in kind of a circle around me. As you see here, I put it in a circle here. And so this is what I have for a studio, and this is what I recommend. So once again, if you go to Timotheus Enterprises, uild.com to the blog about building your studio. I've got these things in a link for you, and I've got options. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them for you. And I just hope that you do well in what you choose, and it all works out for you, and you get some stuff cranked out. And any questions? Give me a shout. Okay. I appreciate you stopping by and taking a look at the video, and maybe in the future I'll do a video as to actually how to plug all this stuff in, which is really would be an endeavor, but we can possibly do that. So do me a favor, like and subscribe if you got anything out of this and it did you any good. And share it with people you know. And thank you very much for stopping by and going through the video with me.